Hey guys, welcome back to the Tion Gaming channel. I am still taking a break, but I just wanted to make at least one more video over the night while I'm sleeping. So here's the thing is, 12,500 for Sunbridge. Very overpowered. However, it's not as overpowered as somebody actually doing Bad Harvester in under 3 minutes and just go ahead and disenchant it. Kind of broken, all honesty. Anyway, I do like to actually go in sometimes and just still trying to sell the last prime watcher for cheaper, but I like to go around and help players. I sometimes say thank you chaotic because I actually bought the item for them that they wanted and I sent it to them free in the mail, just like this person who wanted to actually get the Cliff of Frost with 25 BF. It was actually 250 BF point in the market, and it was actually the last one, so I bought it and sent it to that player. Now, the reason I'm making the video is not only I'm doing an expert run for Siege of Hope, and I also want to show what I'm doing in the game for everybody else. You know, what I'm actually planning, because I kind of want to study the game. Another thing over here is actually Bart, one of the guys who actually comment below, did win the Battle Force raffle. There's going to be another one at the end of this video. He all had to do is follow the instructions, which is comment below say they want to enter the Battle Forge of this amount. So those who actually watch the video know the right amount. So here's actually what I'm actually working on. I actually went ahead and typed, I just finished, in all honesty. This was a couple hours ago. I type all the cards, there are symbols in there to tell me if there's squads building and stuff like that, the cost, the mana, everything in there. And the reason I'm doing that is because I kind of want to test some things in the server, plus study some strat that I probably forgot back then. At the same time, see some of the mechanics in here. For example, this is an example that I kind of want to study for a strategy. You see, if you actually use these four Frost Mage, you'll be able to actually kill anything that is small because they just keep pushing knockback onto them over and over and over. And if you want to kill them faster, you can use Ice Barrier and Home Soil. However, everything has to have a value. And it's always going to depend on how much it costs. As you see right here, they got annihilated by those things, and I actually put those things in there for a reason, which I'll show you later. So now I tried it with a Wind Reaver. This is usually how much of Wind Reaver I used to have in here. I'm now using Mana Wing, but there definitely could be destroyed if Chuma come out of nowhere. So I went ahead and put the Hurricane, so you guys can see some of the values of having the Wind Reavers and Hurricane inside, or having an Ensnaring route, which I didn't put it on this video. I also try to show the Mana Wing because it cannot be attacked if a ground unit is just a ground unit, and it can't attack air archers. So I want to show the value of that. However, I also wanted to show you what happened if you actually fought an archer, which your Mana Wing would get wrecked, which again, you're still gonna need your shamans out there. Then I tried the Nox Trooper with this Soul Splicer, and to be honest with you, that has as good as value, not as better the value than the red cards. The fire cards are just overpowered on the value if you are doing RPVE. Now this is actually intentional for RPVE. So at this time I actually try to focus on them, you know, focus click on each one of them. These guys will focus one of them, they will focus on the other one. However, my tower actually ended up dying, so I don't think it was actually a good idea to focus target each one of them, even though they die first, and the Soul Splicer will actually give me more life. So then I try to put the Nomad, a couple Nomad, because I seen someone actually do this, and I think this is the worst of value that you will be using it. But again, if they don't have mine, that's the only way they actually go for it, which is still okay. But you know, the best of value is actually the Nomad using 2 mines. I mean, seriously, it just destroys everything. And this is where I summon the other horses. I want to show you guys how it looks like when you're actually fighting a couple Wing Reavers versus horses and still having shamans to actually heal them. It doesn't work. Then you actually use a Nox Trooper. And I actually put a good amount of Nox Trooper of how much you will fight, because these horses are technically tier 3. So as you see, at one point it started focusing on the tower, but because of the healing, slowly there were at least 2 Nox Trooper in there, and it had better value than the the nature side, and then better value obviously than the frost side. So then I actually use focus fire by actually clicking on one of them so they can die, and then I'll click the other one, which actually allow one of the horses to stop attacking the tower and start attacking me. However, it was actually better value because I was able to have 3 of the Nox troopers survived instead of just 2 Nox troopers surviving and almost my tower dying. So then I actually go ahead and summon 5 of these and just start running around just a bit, just to show you how powerful and how much value the Nomad and the Mines has. So why do I do this for? Well, if I wanted to have better value for RPVE, I would just use the Nomad with the Mines, get to the tier 2 with it, with my partner doing as well. And then from there, if I again, I can get to tier 3 with it. But if I get to tier 2, I can get a better value if I use something else. For example, let's say I go for Shadow. So I'm showing right here that when they die, if I don't use the embalmment, then they don't rest as good with just 2 of the other 2 units set. So then I use with embalmment, and then one of them just kills both of them and able to rest. And I feel that if I go from Nomad Fire to Shadow for Phoenix, I'll be able to get a better value. Now, the other reason that I'm actually studying this is because I always like to, if you played Gatherers of Magic, you know about values, right? If your opponent goes right ahead and they go ahead and they summon a card, your opponent, and then you counter it. You tap 2 cards and you summon that card back up to your hand, and one of your mana doesn't untap on the next untap stepped, then that's a great value, because on the next turn they'll only go, if they place a mana, they'll only be able to use 2 mana, not 3 mana, and you just pretty much send him back 1 turn because of the well, technically not 1 turn, but pretty much you cancel what he had already on the field, so he still has to summon that one or something else. So that's value for just 1 card, you know. So in the same way in here, there will be a specific amount of value that I wanted to test, because for some reason, pure decks, even though I really was hoping that back then, you know, before 2013, the pure decks were actually more of a stronger than the semi-orb deck or pure half deck. And what I call by pure half deck is something like Lost Soul. Even though Lost Soul is technically a theme deck, it is 2 Frost and 2 Frost and 2 Shadow. It's technically not pure in a kind of sense. And what I mean by that is that you're actually using Frost cards and you're still using Shadow card. So it is half like a half-breed. Basically pure half is what I call it. And then you have hybrid decks, which actually uses like fire, ice, and green, or they can actually use frost and shadow, and at the end we'll have natures just to go ahead and heal. So that's pretty much hybrid. To me, I always felt that, you know, the love should have been more on the pure decks, and the only reason I'm saying this is because the more you're investing that type of orb, you don't have so many diversity as going hybrid, and thus you should be stronger. This is not really the case back then, and that's the reason why back then, even though I played a couple Lost Soul, couple Nature and stuff like that, I did win hybrid. I actually had Shrine with Nature with Ice and stuff like that, because it was actually much stronger for that reason. So here's the thing is I'm going to actually show you. If you look at go right ahead, and I actually looked for values in here, specific values, and I say I'm gonna put a Forest Elder. He should be pretty strong, you know, but I guess he can actually heal, but he's not strong enough to take 2 Abomination. So even during this time I said, like, okay, a weakened Abomination, maybe my Giant Worm can kill it. No, it gets smacked. So then I say, what about Mind Control? Mind Control takes about 3 green orb and 1 neutral. The thing is, Mind Control is taking one of those creature out, so technically you're killing that creature because it's not there, you know, but then you're actually summoning that same creature. So it's like taking a creature from them, away from them, and then summoning a creature for yourself. That's 2 values for 1 card. And technically, you basically are taking control of that card. But if you look at it that way, you're actually killing that card because they don't have it anymore. And then at the same time, you're summoning a creature which is worth about 300, and still able to actually win in the fight if you actually focus on targeting, on hitting the target first before it hits you. So then I also tried something with the ice ones, and I love the fact that you can usually use shatter iced with them. And then at next point, I tried to use the winter witch, by trying to freeze some of the abomination, and then using the ability to protect my guys, because every 3 seconds they get a shield. So I love the idea that they have for that, but again, Frost nature is not that strong, and then technically it shouldn't have been strong. I mean, the way I saw Battle Forge back then, which I heard how they were teaching me, they were saying, dude, fire is destructive. Nature is very healing and such. Shadow was for me weird. They couldn't explain it in a way that they say lifesteal, but I'm like, isn't that nature and something like that? So I just couldn't understand Shadow overall. And the last one is Ice. Ice is very defensive. They have a bunch of tower. Like when I was writing all of them down, they had so many defensive tower with so many different skills. Like they had a tower that can just freeze for free if they get close enough, 5 targets. And then after those 5 targets, there has another tower that says the freezing lasts 25% longer and the damage is increased on those guys. So you deal more damage. So the tower can deal more damage, plus it freezes. So I was like, oh, okay, so they're very, very defensive, so they're not very, very offensive. However, I'm sharing some people want to actually change some of the balance to try to make ice more stronger, even though that's not technically the mechanic of ice, but whatever is whatever. Anyway, I'm just gonna get to the video of the experiment. So I actually haven't done this since 2013. I remember there was many tricks. I mean, you use like a fire stalker in some areas so they don't summon the big creatures, stuff like that. But again, I want to play with my theme deck. I want to play with my a deck that I call the Sinner deck, which is basically a Lost Soul deck. No, I don't want to go hybrid on this one. So I want to make do with what I have and try to see if I can beat it. Now, I actually played this back then, and I did play it with nature. And back then, I remember there was a Sky's Catcher on top, but I don't remember if there was a Sky's Catcher at the bottom. I know that I had to hurry up as fast, and I had to split my forces in the beginning. So those type of memory did actually help me actually defeat this, even though I did panic at one point because I did not know if bottom was going to get Sky Catcher. I know once it appears and I don't have my tier 4, I'm gonna be done. And guess what? We're going to use the cheating card, the breaking mechanic card, the Ami, to actually go ahead and defeat this map as well. So as you already saw, I did kill my creatures. I went on the left side and I actually used Cold Snap for my other creature on the right side. You have to get a tier 2. If you have a tier 1, these guys will not even make it. They'll just die if they're tier 1. If there's tier 2, which is what the moon says. You have to send bigger creatures through it so it doesn't die as quick. So I send 2 of the Lost Soul Dancer. So what I try to do is actually I went on the left side, I put a good defensive, and I put some fairness in there. And I went on the right side, I put my construction house to be coming closer to having the Lost Launcher, which is actually going to be one of the most awesome tower to play, which I don't see a lot of people playing it and stuff like that. I guess when people think it's weak, no, they're not. Lost Launcher, as for me, they're one of the strongest T2 towers. If you go specifically for the rage one, the longer it's the attacking, the better. So I went to every single area. I did not pick up too many of the monument. Again, my character does not have fast cars and such, so I have to do with how slow they are to get to the specific areas. So I do start summoning some Lost Dancer, some Lost Dancer around, because I'm going to need that tier 3 as soon as you see these guys, these launchers, they're going to take care of those abomination. And with the furnace, I'm going to get enough to powers to be able to keep summoning them. I need to get to the tier 3 before the Skycatcher. If I don't have my tier 4 out there by that time, those Skycatchers is just going to freaking wreck me. And it's going to wreck me for the specific deck that I'm using. One thing I like about the Lost Soul Dancer. What I think I like is they do have some AoE on them. These ones are siege, so they do more damage to buildings and stuff like that. But again, they deal AoE damage, so I'm able to actually focus on the thorn guys and then kill them. Every time I actually have to look at all the walls that are being destroyed, I have to repair them. Always put to repair them, and then I run away because I know my guys can take it. If I feel something bad's going to happen, I can use Cold Snap and such. Once I have enough of the power and the monument active, I go ahead and you put a furnace down, because I am going to need to actually destroy all my creature, all my Lost Dancer, to be able to summon quickly the monument and to have my tier 4 before that son of a gun comes right now. So basically my launcher, they'll die easily to the Skycatcher. They're just going to ignore the wall or anything like that and go straight into it. So I was able to finally summon one of the Lost Soul creatures. Now they're not that strong or anything like that. At least 2 against that creature. My loss, I don't think can actually win it. And since I've not seen the bottom side have the Skycatcher, I just leave one of them in there. One of I think I chose the purple one to be down there to lower the damage of that one, right? Nope, I chose the green one, which actually was a mistake. I should have chosen the purple one. Anyway, I summoned just a bunch of creatures on top of T4. I don't need to have any more of the tower and such. And yes, I don't have heal and such, but if I did everything perfectly, which I could do it now if I ever should try it again, if I did everything perfectly, I would have my ship get the recycle ability, and the ship heal is just enough to go ahead and keep them alive. So as you see right now, I actually destroy them, put one at the bottom, and then later on I put another one right on top of all my creatures, so I can be able to heal. Once the timer runs down, that's it. You survived it. It's over. Everything else is just a matter of time. So one of the things that you should be doing if you don't have fast creatures is that you have to split them from the beginning. You can't wait to defend and then try to get to the southeast area and the north area and try to defend that. It's not going to happen. You're going to need to split your forces and get to that point. There's actually no breaking mechanics in here except the Ami Monument, so I still think that this is actually a cheating part of doing this. Again, Ami Monument is one of the strongest things for breaking mechanics, so it's always easy to actually use it. It only costs about 500. Get yourself an Ami and destroy this game. Now, the next thing that I wanted to do is I went around and tried to use as much as the resource booster, because I'm going to need all the power back to because I didn't activate all the monuments at the same time. I'm only have to do a couple in here. And I also wanted to activate this architect calls because I wanted to test it, but then I felt that the speed was the same one for the construction, so I don't think they actually stack. I think the cool thing is about it that you can use it without construction, but again, it doesn't stack, so I'm actually going to be taking that out of the deck. I tried to go ahead and use the mechanic, and the reason I'm saying it like that is because there's a lot of people who doesn't wait for Lost Spirit to get the mechanic. In fact, now I haven't seen one person use the Armor Tower. Armor Tower has the highest value for your card. Now, before I went for this cycle, before I went to the F, the first thing I wanted to do is I wanted everybody to have the Lost Soul as ability to revive. Second, I wanted to use the Maelstrom to freeze them, have the Lost Soul summon the healing for the recycle, which is better than the regrowth, and then after that I wanted to use Ice Barrier and the Lost Evocation, which actually increases the damage by 50%. Now, I don't know if actually those two stack, the Ice Barrier of Home Soil and the Lost Evocation, but since I won, I didn't actually really care. I will have to test it later. So this is pretty much the expert for a Siege of Hope. Again, majority of the time I made this video is just to show you what I'm actually doing ahead of time. I wanted to put an expert in there just for loss, and at the same time I wanted to show you guys the guy who already won for the 200 Battle Forge. If you made it this far into the video, guess what? The next raffle, the next time I make a video, and obviously you'll see who the winner is for that one. The raffle for this one will be 400 Battle Forge point, which means it's gonna cost me one of my booster daily. And if it takes 2 days, I might increase it and give him maybe 600, depending on when I make my next video. If it takes 2 days, I might make it to 600. Otherwise, guess what? It is 400. So go to the comments below. Type, I want to enter the raffle from 400 to 600, and subscribe to the channel, because I need to actually see the subscription so I can able to see who's actually entering this. Later on, I'm not gonna make it to subscription, but for now I just want to see if these guys are guys who like watching the videos and such, because I appreciate those who actually do watch my video more. Lastly is put your in-game now, because technically I'm contacting you through Discord just so I can get your in-game, just so I can send you the mail. So if you can put your in-game now down with the raffle thing, I'll appreciate it, and I'll be seeing you on the next video.